Death is perhaps humanity's oldest and most universal concern. Across cultures, philosophies, and religions, people have tried to answer the great question of mortality. For some, death is seen as a passage to another world. For others, it is a dissolution into nothingness. But for Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, death was neither to be feared nor romanticized. Instead, he saw it as something natural, inevitable, a simple return to the whole from which we came. In his meditations, Marcus Aurelius reflects again and again on death. He reminds himself that his reign, his fame, and even Rome itself will one day fade away. Everything is impermanent. And the wise response to this truth is not denial, not despair, but calm acceptance. Marcus' writings are not abstract philosophy written for others. They are intimate notes to himself, a guide for enduring life's hardships and preparing to meet death with dignity. In this video, we will explore Marcus Aurelius' reflections on death and how he prepared for it with calm. We'll look at the Stoic philosophy that shaped his thought, the specific meditations on mortality scattered throughout his writings, and the practical exercises he used to cultivate inner balance. Finally, we'll consider what his insights can mean for us today, how his calm preparation for death can actually help us live more fully, more courageously, and more peacefully. So, let's begin. 1. The Stoic foundation: nature, reason, and acceptance. To understand Marcus Aurelius' preparation for death, we must first appreciate the Stoic philosophy that shaped his worldview. Stoicism, founded by Zeno of Citium around 300 BCE, taught that the path to happiness lies in aligning oneself with nature and reason. For the Stoics, virtue was the only true good, and external events, health, wealth, reputation, even death, were indifference. They could not harm one's character unless one allowed them to. At the core of Stoicism is the principle of living according to nature. This means recognizing that we are part of a larger whole, subject to natural laws beyond our control. Death is one of those laws. Every being that comes into existence must one day perish. To fight against this truth is irrational. To accept it calmly is wisdom. Epictetus, a Stoic teacher whom Marcus greatly admired, put it simply, "I cannot escape death, but cannot I escape the fear of it?" Marcus echoes this sentiment throughout his writings. For him, death was not a catastrophe, but part of the eternal rhythm of the cosmos. As he wrote, "Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." Meditations 4.17. In this framework, death is stripped of its terror. It is neither punishment nor tragedy, but the completion of a natural cycle. Just as leaves fall in autumn, so too do human beings pass away when their time has come. 2. Death as return to nature. One of Marcus' recurring metaphors is that death is a return to nature. We are composed of elements: earth, water, air, and fire. And at death, these return to the whole from which they came. Nothing is lost, only transformed. He writes, "Death is a release from the impressions of the senses, and from the desires that make us their puppets, and from the stirrings of the mind, and from the hard service of the flesh. Meditations 6.28. Here, death is not destruction but release. It frees us from burdens and returns us to simplicity. In another passage, he compares it to a drop of water rejoining the sea. You have existed as a part. You shall vanish into that which produced you, or rather, you shall be received back into its seminal reason. Meditations 4.14. Such reflections dissolve the fear of personal extinction. If one understands oneself as part of a greater whole, then one's death is not an annihilation, but a homecoming. The individual dissolves into the cosmos, just as sparks return to the fire. 3. The universality of death. Marcus also reminded himself of the universality of death. No emperor, no philosopher, no warrior, no ordinary man escapes it. By reflecting on the death of great figures of the past, he cultivated perspective. Alexander the Great and his mule driver both died, and the same thing befell them both. Meditations 6.24. The comparison is striking. The conqueror of the known world and a humble laborer both share the same fate. Fame and power offer no exemption. This realization strips death of its sting. If the greatest and most celebrated have perished, why should one be troubled by one's own mortality? He also notes that time erases all memory of individuals, no matter how remarkable. All that you see will soon perish. Those who witness its perishing will soon perish also. He who dies 100 years old and he who dies in youth come to the same thing. Meditations 9.33. This meditation diminishes the illusion of permanence. It teaches that clinging to legacy or fearing obscurity is futile, for time consumes all. Instead, one should focus on living rightly in the present moment. 4. Death as part of the present moment. Marcus repeatedly stresses that life is only ever lived in the present. The past is gone, the future uncertain. By concentrating on the present, one diminishes the anxiety of death, which is always imagined as future. Do not let the future disturb you. Death, then, is nothing but a present experience when it arrives. Why fear it in advance? When the time comes, one will meet it with the same faculty of reason that guides all other moments. By practicing present moment awareness, Marcus prepared himself to meet death not as a looming shadow, but as a natural event to be faced when it occurs. 5. Exercises in contemplating death. Marcus did not simply theorize about death. He trained his mind through daily exercises. The meditations can be read as a kind of spiritual journal where he rehearsed attitudes toward mortality. Negative visualization. The Stoics practiced premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. By imagining loss, suffering, and death, one diminishes their power. Marcus writes, "Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly." Meditations 7.56. By visualizing himself as already dead, he freed himself from fear and cultivated gratitude for the present. Perspective of the vastness of time. Marcus also expanded his perspective to the immensity of time. Consider how swiftly all things are dissolved and resolved, the bodies and substances themselves, and the memories of them. Meditation 7.10. By contemplating the endless flow of time, he saw his life and death as brief moments in an infinite continuum, unworthy of anxiety, remembering the transience of others. He reflected on the mortality of loved ones and strangers alike. Far from morbid, this practice deepened compassion and presence. Knowing that all are fleeting, one cherishes them without clinging. 6. Death and virtue. For Marcus, the value of life is not measured by its length, but by its virtue. Whether one dies young or old is irrelevant. What matters is whether one has lived with justice, wisdom, courage, and temperance. He writes, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." Meditations 12.1. To live is to live rightly. Death is simply the end of opportunity. Thus, preparation for death is inseparable from the practice of virtue. If one lives each day in accordance with reason and nature, death can come at any time without regret. 7. Calm acceptance in leadership and war. As emperor, Marcus Aurelius faced constant reminders of mortality, plagues, wars, political turmoil. His meditations on death were not abstract but urgently practical. In battle, soldiers died by the thousands. In plague, whole cities were emptied. To lead with wisdom, Marcus had to internalize the impermanence of life. His calm acceptance of death made him resilient. He did not despair in crisis, but accepted hardship as part of nature's order. Death, whether his own or others, was not to be resisted with rage, but met with dignity. 8. Preparing for death through daily living. Marcus' ultimate preparation for death was simple: live each day as if it were the last. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Meditations 2.11. This reminder kept him anchored in presence and virtue. To prepare for death is not to wait passively, but to live actively with integrity and clarity, so that when death arrives, there is nothing to regret. 9. Modern relevance. Learning from Marcus Aurelius. Why do Marcus' reflections still resonate today, nearly 2,000 years later? Because the human fear of death has not changed. Modern society often hides death behind hospitals, euphemisms, and distractions. Yet it remains the inevitable horizon of life. Marcus offers a countercultural wisdom: face death directly, calmly, and rationally. His teachings suggest practical lessons for us today. Accept impermanence. Everything changes. Resisting this only breeds suffering. Focus on virtue. What matters is not how long we live, but how well. Live in the present. Death is always future. By grounding in the now, we diminish fear. Practice daily reminders. Reflect on mortality, not morbidly, but as a tool for gratitude and clarity. In an age where death is often denied or dramatized, Marcus Aurelius' calm acceptance offers a refreshing and liberating perspective. Marcus Aurelius did not claim to have conquered the fear of death once and for all. His meditations are filled with repeated reminders, evidence that he, like all of us, struggled with mortality. Yet through reflection, practice, and the Stoic framework, he cultivated an attitude of calm acceptance. For Marcus, death was not an enemy, but a teacher. It reminded him to live each day with virtue, to cherish the present moment, and to see himself as part of the vast flow of nature. Preparing for death with calm was not a morbid fixation, but the key to living fully. As he wrote to himself, perhaps in the stillness of a military camp or the solitude of his chamber, "Soon you will have forgotten all things. Soon all things will have forgotten you." In these words lies both the sobering truth of mortality and the liberating call to live with wisdom and peace. To prepare for death, Marcus Aurelius teaches us, is ultimately to prepare for life. If you found this reflection meaningful, I invite you to subscribe to Truthfully Free. Here, we explore timeless teachings that guide us toward freedom from fear and deeper understanding of life. Leave a comment below with your own reflections on death and how Marcus Aurelius' wisdom speaks to you. I would love to hear your thoughts. And if you'd like to go deeper, I recommend reading Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. It is not just philosophy. It is a personal diary of one man's journey toward calm and wisdom in the face of mortality. Thank you for listening. Until next time, may you live with clarity, courage, and calm acceptance of life's impermanence.